The following text is from an article in the Guardian newspaper, from the 2nd of January 2025, written by Libby Brooks and entitled, Left to Rot, Glasgow's Crumbling Heritage Comes into Focus for 850th Anniversary.
Pressure grows to do something about city centre's decaying buildings and empty shops in year of urgency.
Glasgow city centre seems to be dying, says Anne Gibb, perched on a stone bollard on Sauchiehall Street, watching the Christmas shoppers hustle by. Ahead of her, the human stream parted around yet another segment of the precinct that had been fenced off as contractors dug up paving. Hers is a familiar refrain from visitors to Glasgow city centre in recent years, dismayed at the gap sites, stalled renovations and streets overlooked by empty windows of abandoned upper office spaces. With the city celebrating its 850th anniversary in 2025 and hosting the, albeit slimmed down, Commonwealth Games the year after, there's a galvanizing awareness that global media will again be focused on the city. Last year began with what some considered a clarion call and others a provocation when the writer, critic and former editor of the Architect's Journal Rory Olcato published a searing essay on the state of the city. His central thesis was that Glasgow's much-vaunted reinvention from 80s post-industrial decline to 90s and noughties cultural and commercial contender had ground to a near halt. This stretches much further back than the pandemic or austerity, says Neil Murphy, the director of Glasgow City Heritage Trust. It's the legacy of deindustrialization and depopulation in the 1960s and 70s. You get these border zones, and particularly to the south of the city centre, like the area around Bridge Street, where the urban clearance of the notorious Gorbals moved out around 90,000 people. We have these grand buildings, built to last, that don't have a purpose anymore. With many of these buildings under multiple, or elusive, ownership, Murphy wants to develop a culture of building maintenance across the city, a requirement to carry out 5 yearly surveys, for example, as happens in New York and cities around Europe.